Now, hopefully you've heard this morning lots of different ideas, right? And where do those ideas come from? They come from our brains. Our brains are a network of over 100 billion neurons and connections that are constantly putting together amazing patterns of our images, thoughts, and feelings. Simply put, our brains are wired to learn. So if our brains are wired to learn, then why are our schools having such a difficult time igniting a love for learning and a passion for creativity? 1 in 13 US students is on at least one psychiatric medication. That's up 7-fold from 1993. So it begs the question, what is happening to our students today that they are feeling so stressed, so overwhelmed, so impulsive, so depressed that we have med use like this? I like to talk to teenagers. And about 5 years ago, I met a very inquisitive young man named Lane, who is in the 7th grade. And he was very excited to tell me about what he had created over the weekend. So he had a Wii remote that was laying around, and he decided that he had heard it was Bluetooth, and he knew his computer had Bluetooth, so he thought, I think I can make these two connect. So he dove into Google and tried to figure out how to make that happen. And he learned that the Wii remote actually just reads infrared lights on a sensor bar. And then he also learned how to take apart a ballpoint pen, rewire it completely with an infrared light on the bottom that when he pressed down, it lit up so his computer could read it. But this is where this story gets interesting, because he thought, wow, what if I could take that technology and put it at the end of my finger? So that weekend he set out. He put a glove on his hand, and he wrapped copper wire around his middle finger and copper wire around his thumb, so that when he placed the two together, it completed the circuit and illuminated an infrared light on the tip of his index finger, so that when he pointed, his computer knew where he was. So while that technology may have been around for the beginnings of a touchscreen, he didn't know about it. He had taken what he had learned and created something completely different. Excited, he went running into his 7th grade science teacher and said, this is what I had done over the weekend. And his science teacher said, I don't think so. That's impossible. And Lane said, no, it's not. I did it. Can I please bring it in and show you and show the class? And his teacher, who was driven by curriculum, said, sorry, we don't have time for that. Lane's mother told me that that is when everything changed for Lane, and he no longer wanted to go to school. 26 students drop out of school every second of the school day. And I don't know about you, but I had some preconceived ideas about the kind of students who were dropping out. When I was in high school, I thought it was just the bad kids. But of the 7,000 students who drop out of school each day, less than 1% are kicked out. Less than 1% drop out because of family problems. And only 3.5% drop out because of some kind of gang-related connections. So where did these big numbers come from? 28% of children drop out because they're bored. 21% of kids drop out because they feel like the material they're learning is irrelevant. And another 18% drop out because they feel no one cares about them. I believe that our schools are killing our children with irrelevant information in environments that don't encourage technology and pay little attention to the importance of human connection. Young Zhao has a great quote where he says, perfecting the horse wagon won't get us to the moon. If we're going to build a school that goes into the 21st century, we have to do something that's completely different. We need to build a learning environment that has a new building design, right? A new engine, a new frame, and we need to have a new kind of fuel, the fuel of positive connection, and we have to have a different kind of driver. Our students need to drive. So let's talk for a little bit about the frame and engine of our new vehicle. In our new learning environment, we need to have a completely different building design, powered by the engine of technology. Our children today are trapped in cells until the bell rings, and then they move to another cell until the bell rings, secretly using their phones for fear of getting them taken away. Our classrooms reflect the early classrooms of the 1900s. They're still set up with rows of desks, teachers still standing in front giving direct instruction. In your classrooms today, you're lucky if you have a row of computers in the back, or maybe a stack of iPads that the teacher was given and she's not quite sure what to do with them, but she pulls them out every once in a while. Our classrooms of the 1900s, they can't be altered to take our kids into the 21st century, and curriculum can't be modified. Just like we can't alter a horse wagon or modify a horse to get to the moon. We have to do something completely different. Do you know where our children are the most creative today? It is not when they are in school. It's when they're freed from their cells and they get to go home, sit in front of their computer, and spawn into a new land where they are limited only by their imagination, where they get to build amazing fortresses with glass floors and full-on roller coasters that start at a mountaintop and end in the water. Minecraft is a game that allows complete access to their imagination. And we need to design a school that allows complete access to our children's imagination. We need to have workspaces where our children are encouraged to be in nature. We need to have workspaces where our children can learn and create and build. We need to have workspaces where they can work together. And in these workspaces, we need to encourage the use of technology. And not just encourage it, but allow them to use it in innovative ways that you and I would never think of. Research shows us that technology is changing the brains of our children. The ancient Greeks, they had a culture that valued oral and memorization skills. But that changed with the creation of the alphabet. Many people were afraid that reading would change the brains of their students. And you know what? It did, right? Doubling and tripling the neuroactivity. We have yet to see how technology will unleash a new form of cognition for the 21st century. The fact is, we don't know how technology is going to change the brains of our children. But we do know that technology is the engine of the future. Imagine a school where our children have workspaces that they can look out and enjoy nature. Imagine workspaces where they can collaborate and build a community. Imagine workspaces where we don't just allow technology, but we encourage it. Our entirely new learning environment needs a new design and a new engine. And it also needs to be fueled by a new kind of fuel. So if we're using our analogy, our new engine that we build to go to the moon can't be powered by carrots and hay. We need to have a different kind of fuel. 18% of the kids, remember, drop out because they don't feel connected. And the rise of the anxiety and depression meds are going up. Our new fuel of the future is the development of positive connection. Our children, they are wired for connection. Connection is what makes them feel loved and belong. Connection is what gives them the courage to be vulnerable in their learning. So while we're talking about a learning environment for all kinds of kids, I want to tell you about a little boy named James who comes to our office. So James is a dyslexic, and he's been in our public school system for 1 year. He's 6 years old, and in kindergarten, he became very wounded, broken, and insecure. So his first few weeks with us were pretty tough. When he felt overwhelmed by a task, he would break down crying, and he would absolutely refuse to try. And I'll let you in on a secret to helping all the kids that are bright that come to our office. His therapist loved him into trying. His therapist built an authentic, positive relationship with James where he had the courage to try. We need to allow our children positive connection with not only the teachers but each other, because that is the fuel that allows learning and creativity. Imagine a school where one-on-one connection is valued. Imagine a school where learning coaches and adolescents got to know each other and got to know each other's strengths and weaknesses. In our new learning environment, it needs to be fueled by the power of positive connection. And in this new learning environment, we have to have a different kind of driver. I don't know about you, but I have a brand new driver at home. And there is something very unnerving about getting into the car for the very first time with your child who just got their permit. Now, you might think I'd be a pro at this, right? Because this is my third new driver. But as I was sitting in the passenger seat, and I felt the muscles tense on my right leg, and I noticed that my foot was grinding into the floor in hopes that somehow I could command the car to stop, or at least slow down. See, there is something very unnerving about allowing your child to operate a big piece of machinery and navigate on roads with unpredictable drivers. But we have to have faith in them and allow them to get behind the driver's seat if they're going to learn to drive, right? We can't just tell them how to drive. That would be my wish, just tell them. But eventually I needed to have the faith in my son to sit in the passenger side where there are no controls and allow him to drive. I believe passionately that our children have innovative ideas. Wouldn't it be great if our children had a learning environment where they could chase those innovative ideas? Some of which may, not pan out, but others which may. And if they had a support staff of a school behind them to help them. Our children need to have the opportunity to chase their dreams and innovative ideas, and we need to allow them to do that. After all, our children are wired to learn, and they've been wired to learn since birth. We didn't have any problem watching our little kids in the driver's seat, right? We let them learn to crawl. They learn to crawl. They learn to walk. They learn to run. They learn to talk back, all on their own. And when they're a preschooler, we don't have any problems watching them interact in their environment, act impulsive, take risks. So why do we have a hard time with the idea that our children and adolescents can't drive their learning? They can drive their learning. And we need to have the faith to sit in the passenger side with no controls. Imagine a learning environment where our children got to chase their innovative ideas. Imagine a learning environment where children did not drop out because they're bored or learning irrelevant information. We need to have a new learning environment, and we need to have it driven by our students. So, in our new vehicle, with new fuel and a new driver, do we have a chance to get to the moon? I think we have a shot. In our new learning environment, with a completely different building design, fueled by the power of technology, and powered by the positive connection, and driven by our students, will our children have a love for learning and a passion for creativity? I think we have a shot. So let me leave you with this. Going into the unknown 21st century, we need to build a completely different kind of learning environment where our students are drivers and they feel connected and worthy to make an impact on our community and our world.